千里之行，始于足下. A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Derek Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Daodejing by Lao Zi. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now. To be fully present and mindfully aware as we all ready ourselves for this sacred process of the Tao. We are discussing the first three lines of the Daodejing, chapter 63. Act without action, manage without meddling, taste without tasting. So the correct interpretation of these three lines is absolutely essential. And I thought of a way to make it easy to see, easy to understand. And that is, I can present them together with explanations in a tabular format, as you can see here. So what I've done, as you can see, is that for each of the three rows, the three characters from lines 1, 2, and 3 are split apart into the first part and then the second part. These all pertain to the Tao. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. The Tao, act without acting, act without action. How would that apply to the Tao itself? So first of all, we say that the Tao is the ultimate reality, the ultimate motivating force behind everything, something that exists behind the scenes on everything that we observe, everything that is around us. Therefore, whatever that is, the Tao accomplishes everything. That is, the changing of seasons, planetary motions, the orbits around the sun, etc. All of that is attributed to whatever the ultimate moving force is that is working behind the scenes. So the Tao accomplishes everything. And yet, at the same time, it is also true that the Tao doesn't try to do anything. It is not human. It is not human-like. It is not a deity. And therefore, it doesn't have the same kind of desires that human beings would have to do a particular thing. The Tao simply does what it does. It just happens. So that's how we can apply act without action to the Tao. The Tao isn't doing it for some kind of selfish motive, some kind of self-centric, egocentric motivation, because again, it is neither human nor human-like. It's not like a deity at all. Second part, manage without meddling. Let's take a look at how that would apply to the Tao concept. So because the Tao is whatever that is, the ultimate reality behind reality, it is what manages and coordinates everything. So I talked about the changing of seasons in the previous row. Well, the Tao coordinates the timing of that, so the leaves turn color when they're supposed to. The snow falls when it is supposed to. Everything is sort of in a universal choreography. Things happen at the right time. Now you can already tell that if we were to apply this concept to life, to your life or mine, we can then say that, I don't know exactly how it is, but things seem to happen at the right time. People come into our lives at just the right time. Maybe going from job to job, an offer comes in just at the right time to enable the next stage in your career. So that will be a personal reflection of the Tao level. Let's stick to the Tao level for the time being. We're talking about the Tao managing and coordinating everything, but then without meddling. So let's bring in the other part. The Tao does not interfere with anything or anyone. The Tao is that which is natural, and therefore, when everything is progressing in accordance with the Tao, that's just another way to say everything is progressing naturally, in accordance with everything's nature. And looking at this table right here, even though we haven't filled in the last row yet, we can already tell that these can all apply to human life. And then the last row, taste. The Tao is the subtle joy and lasting zest for life. So when you cultivate the Tao for some time, you begin to get a sense for what it's all about. It's kind of hard to describe, but there's a definite joy in the Tao that is completely unlike the happiness that we experience when we buy shiny new objects. When we go to an amusement park and take the thrilling rides, when we watch a movie, etc. Those are good, but they come and go. They're transient. The joy that I'm talking about associated with the Tao is a low-level joy, sense of joy that's always in the background. It is there, you can feel it, it makes you smile, sometimes for no reason, but it's definitely present. It gives you zest for life. That is, it makes you feel like there is meaning and purpose to my life. It is worth living. I am enjoying myself. So that's the kind of taste I'm talking about associated with the Tao. And yet, it's hard to put into words. So when you describe it for other people, they may not get it. Because the Tao that's coming out of your mouth when you describe it to someone else, it seems unexciting, unremarkable, plain, and bland. Now, when you're getting deeper into the Tao, you know it is definitely nothing like that. It's not plain, it's not bland. There's a lot of beauty associated with it. There's a lasting happiness, that joy that's ever present, not at all bland. And yet, when we describe it to other people, that is the perception for someone who doesn't yet know what the Tao is. Okay, so having seen how the Tao relates to all three lines, I think what we want to do now is to associate life. We have to apply the Tao in a practical sense to everyday life. So we want to talk about the Tao of life. So let's start with the first one. The first row, you as a microcosmic copy of the Tao, when you take actions, you want to do it in a way that's similar to the Tao. You want your actions to be congruent with the Tao. You want it to be positive. You want it to benefit everybody, yourself included. You want it to be mindful and perceptive. So those would be the appropriate mindful actions that are Tao-centric. But then you want to do it without attachment, without attaching to personal agendas. It's not for your selfish motives. You're doing something not because it brings you profits, but because it is the right thing to do. Sometimes the right thing to do can be contrary to your personal interest. It may actually result in a loss. For you, though, that's okay because it's the right thing to do. So what about the second row? The manage without the meddling. Whether you are a manager or supervisor or not, there are always things that you have to manage in life. Just by virtue of living, you've got quite a few things that you must manage. That is, you have to know what is out there in your tasks that have to be done. Knowing what has to be done is about the managing and coordination of your own activities. Now, you want to do that without meddling, and this one we can understand from a human perspective, if only because we frequently see people who are meddlesome, who like to get into other people's business without being invited to do so. We don't want to follow that example. We don't want to micromanage or go overboard with backseat driving. That will only bring resentment. It does not bring good results. Now, let's also tackle the last one. The last one is the trickiest of all. I see many people studying the Tao who are okay with the first two rows, but then have a difficult time with the third item here, the taste. So remember, it's not about food or drinks. It's getting a taste of the situation, getting the flavor of life. When it's Tao-centric, the flavor of life is wonderful, but it's very subtle. So the without tasting part, similar to without action, without meddling. Now you have seen that the rightmost column in this case, it's describing situations where people go overboard and doing too much. So excess is the idea. So there's no need for strong flavors of the material world because they are transients. They come and go. Let me explain. This one requires more explanation. What do I mean by strong flavors of the material world? Am I talking about spicy food or spicy adventures? Am I talking about that? Typically, when we talk about the strong flavors of the material world, it is referring to the seeking of fame and fortune. It's the chasing of the various physical thrills. So there's no need for that because one can get all the joy that one needs in a very lasting way from the Tao itself, from your connection with kindred spirits, from the friendship that you forge with other people. There's a sublime and lasting joy in just that, in human connection. So what this lower right-hand corner is talking about, it is to appreciate the simple things, enjoy the subtle flavors of the simple things, which can be greater than any of the stimulations. So let me give you an example. Think about the material world as soda pop. Maybe Coca-Cola, Pepsi, some kind of soda pop. What is it? Well, it's basically sugar plus artificial flavors that sometimes can leave an aftertaste. So that's the material world. What is the Tao in that comparison? The Tao is pure water. With water, unlike soda, no artificial flavors, no sugar. It's simple, it's plain, bland, unremarkable, and yet it is also the essence of thirst-quenching goodness. That's what we're talking about here. Something that is so common, we don't pay attention to it. And yet, when you're thirsty, nothing does a better job. When you're hot and sweaty, nothing does it better to cool you down, to hydrate you so you can be healthy, recover, and be energetic. So you can tell now between the last slide and this one, we've talked about the Tao level. Here, we're talking about the personal level, the level of all our lives. And let me also talk about, at the personal level, what would be the reverse of these Tao ideals that we see here. So for instance, the opposite, the reverse of Wu Wei, not just excessive actions, but also manifestations of being shrewd, overly clever, trying to do things, extra things that you're not really supposed to, that don't really bring you benefits, but excessive shrewdness. And what about the opposite of the without meddling? Well, we've seen that in the busybodies in our lives, people that just can't stay away from other people's business, but it isn't just that. There's more. To be the opposite of 无事, 有事, not just meddling, not just interfering, but also claiming credit. Like, look at what I have done. Whereas the people who understand the principle that we're looking at here, when they're done with something, they're able to just let it go. It's done. I don't need to shine a spotlight on it. I've done what I wanted to do. The people who don't understand will be the ones who say, hey, everybody, look at what I have done. And lastly, the opposite of just enjoying the subtle flavors of life would be a taste of ego-inflating fame. That's a very strong taste. It's a taste that many people have become addicted to. So it isn't just having developed a taste for fame, it's actually having developed an addiction to fame. Those will be the opposite of the Tao of life that we're talking about here. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Let us all travel safely so we can meet again. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.